Trigger warning. The following podcast discusses a range of issues connected to mental health, including depression, drug use, alcoholism, and suicide. This podcast is created to encourage people to share their experiences and remove the taboo around poor mental health. But unless stated, no participants are mental health professionals. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of the Head Up podcast. My name is Matt and I'm part of the team that are putting on the Head Up Festival in December. First off, I just want to say a great big thank you to everyone that watched or listened to the first episode with Lee Wills. We had a really good conversation about quite a tricky subject, and from what I understand from what people have fed back to me, they really enjoyed it and they liked the fact that we were able to open up. So we have many more conversations like that throughout this series, and I can't wait to get onto this one. I'm not going to faff about too much here. So in this second episode, I'll be talking to Armandine, who is the front woman, the sensational front woman for All Hell Dog. Now, they've just been announced as the opening act for Small Woodstock. That's the rock, punk and metal stage of Head Up. So they'll be playing with us at the Forum, early doors. Make sure you get in early to see them. They are amazing. We did sort of have an idea of what we wanted to talk about with mental health, but actually the conversation steered into something different, which still touched on issues to do with mental health, but actually was a better conversation than the one that we planned. So I'm really looking forward to playing with these guys and having them as part of the show. They really fill the show out, and I'm hoping that they can show you all a thing or two that you haven't seen before. Anyway, enough from me. Let's get straight into the conversation between me and Armandine that was recorded recently.
So my guest today is Armandine of All Hell Dog. Armandine, how are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Like a Saturday morning, all good.
Nice and early, so
Yes.
We're getting this one in. And it's October, so I haven't been drinking.
No, never.
Thanks for agreeing to come on this, and also thanks for agreeing to be part of the show.
Yes, very excited about it.
It's going to be quite an interesting day. We've got a lot of things happening across town, and I think the addition of you guys to the lineup expands it in a lot of different ways. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the show itself is dedicated to Johnny, and the sets for I guess they're headline sets, but their two sets are more the covers stuff that we're doing for Johnny and all of his friends. But the good thing about this is that you just add a different perspective and dimension to the show. It all comes under the same belt. It's all the same kind of music, and the relationship between the catharsis of release, punk, rock, metal, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into a few things with you today about your connection to music, and also where the band sort of comes from, and sort of themes and things like that. And
Cool.
as with all these podcasts, the relationship between music and mental health.
Yes, of course.
So let's start with the band. Take me back to how that first began, and sort of what were the roots of All Hell Dog.
Cool. So, funny enough, our first gig was 2 years ago, almost day per day. It was a Halloween show on a Halloween night. So our first gig was two years ago with the definite lineup of it. We had several different lineups before, so I would say it's been about 2.5 years that we've had the definite lineup. Before that, obviously, there was COVID and there were other people, etc. So it's been a few years, but the definite band, as it stands now, has been going on for 2.5 years. So we're based in Brighton. And yeah, we have 4 people in the band: the classic drummer, guitarist, bass player, and singer. Me, front person.
I think so. I think if anybody who's ever seen one of your shows, and I remember the first show I saw you at Green Door Store, and
Which one was that?
Gosh, this was. So you're going to find this funny. I remember we were leaving Green Door Store, and I was trying to convince you to call Josh Runt Boy, because that was the nickname that Molly and I had given him because he was the smallest of the litter. And you were like, I don't think I want to call him that. And I was like, oh no, I've really upset Armandine, and that's it. She's never going to speak to me again, because she thinks some idiot that just wants to offend his bad mates.
Oh no.
That was earlier this year, I think. It was like maybe March time, early doors.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm trying to think who else on the bill. But I mean, the thing is, and the good thing about Brighton is that there's so many bands playing on such a regular basis in lots of different places.
Yeah.
And anyway, I can't get too romantic about Brighton because we're talking about Tunbridge Wells.
Yes.
Have you ever been to the Forum?
No, so obviously I've heard about it as a venue because it's over the years, obviously it's had some absolutely cult and legendary bands play there, actually. So it's an absolute honor, really, to be playing the Forum for us. It's really cool.
It's our little church.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so I've heard of it, but I've actually never been. But yeah, heard of it a lot. Yeah.
It's one of those places that's kind of, and I think that the difference between, as we're talking about Brighton and Tunbridge Wells, is that's kind of it there. That's the only thing that's like that. People can say that there's the assembly halls and Trinity and stuff, and they all fulfill different things. But the Forum is quintessentially the Forum. It's 250 people on the best night, full, and people coming from all over, Sevenoaks, Maidstone, Tunbridge, Crowborough, whatever. Some people travelling up from Brighton if the band is right. And it's where a lot of the people that are going to be performing on that night, to a degree also, I'd say, Josh, cut their teeth.
Where you start. Josh has mentioned it, that he's played there a fair amount of times. He loves it there. It's close to his heart, so it's going to be nice for us to actually be where he's familiar with as well, So yeah.
So you started about 2 years ago. What would you say is kind of the quintessential sort of basis for All Hail Dog in terms of, obviously your performance, which we just sort of alluded to, which I think is fantastic. It's very visually arresting, and obviously not least with what you do, but then the sound matches that as well. Take me through sort of how you brought it together and what sort of message you're conveying with your music.
Well, the message is all over the place, very much like my brain is undiagnosed neurodivergent, which is, I am in the midst of a diagnosis for that, but most probably ADHD, which has come undiagnosed for 38 years. I am 38-year-old and it's been undiagnosed all that time. So the topics of what I sing about, what I write about in the lyrics is as diverse as my mind is. And so is the music. We all come from very different backgrounds. We all have a very wide spectrum of tastes. Each of us, you talk to Phil, he knows West Side Story by heart, but Phil is also a brutal metalhead, but he's a massive fan of West Side Story. And I'm the same. I will listen to opera as well as knowing West Side Story by heart as well as listening to Igor full blast, It's, I have that way, and King Crimson, you can see all around us, the different inspirations in my life, from Portishead to King Crimson, Pink Floyd, etc., you can't limitate yourself to one thing, and the band is very much like that. Josh is very proggy, but Josh is many other things in his influences as well. Damien, insane, very much like me actually. Damien has very much that thing. We love people like Mike Patton who actually mix the whole lot. People like Igor who mix the whole lot of their influences. Why limitate yourself? Why you wanted to do? I mean, I have nothing against death metal, black metal, and stuff. I listen to a lot of it, but why limitate yourself to one thing if you can mix it all? And it confuses people because they can't put us in a box.
Yes.
And it confuses them. Like, what bill, what gig do we put them on? So I think the best way maybe to describe us is queer metal.
Okay.
For many reasons, because the sound is queer. The sound is all over the place. But also I am a queer person as well. And our message is our message is very political in many ways, and not the least in the for the LGBTQ community. We speak about mental health. We speak about LGBTQ. We speak about being anti-militarist as well. We speak about a lot of political. We have a lot of political stances in our lyrics, and we make it very much known live. We make it very clear, very, very clear.
I think the interesting thing there is that of the people that I've spoken to, and as sort of time has evolved and people have become more open to discussing mental health issues, the sort of top cut that come through are depression and anxiety, etc. But they also reach into areas where your mental health is tested the most.
Yeah,
and a lot of people that I've spoken to in the LGBTQ community have the
sorry,
cat hair. I'm sorry. They just kind of they
cute.
add to
it's
it.
Cute.
Yeah.
It's cute.
A lot of people in the LGBTQ community sort of have a very sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Mental health is at the forefront because they've had to deal from day one with the stigma that's related to being
we had to mask.
Queer. Exactly.
So that's the thing. I don't know if people will listen to this podcast are familiar with the term masking. It's a psychological term that we use for people who want to pretend to be someone they're not. So that could be with neurodivergence, because you had to fit in like other people and function in a society that is not designed for you, or with the LGBTQ community, being born male but actually being female. Your gender is female but you were born male. You have to mask because your family might not approve of it, or approve of who you are, which is a mad thing to even think, or in my case, it was just I was born in the countryside and I was pansexual. Pansexual was not even a thing that was being discussed. I thought when I was a teenager, I discovered that actually bisexuality was a thing. So I thought that's what I was. But I had to mask because that was not something that people talked about. And I was born in 85. It's not like I'm from the dark ages either. But in the countryside, you still have to mask a lot about these things. And obviously in other countries, it's still goddamn illegal. Yeah. People are coming over here as refugees because otherwise in their country they could be killed for being gay or trans,
Do you
it's
think
important we still speak up about it.
Do you think that the lack of access to information in that sort of more rural area is one of the reasons why you weren't able to quicker understand your sort of place in the world and how you felt?
Yeah, of course. That's why awareness is important. People who are butthurt about the fact that there's so much awareness about LGBTQ because they are straight is a sad state of affair, because having to mask because you don't feel accepted, because people don't understand it around you, because there's no awareness around you, leads to suicide, leads to depression, leads to anxiety. Exactly. And most people are led to that due to masking, due to, having to deny that part of yourself, So it's very important that there's still awareness out there. So my husband is a backline tech and tour manager. And he did say to me, if you guys expand, you need to be aware that when you fly your flag, because live I have an all-inclusive flag that I crucify myself on. I just hold it like that and I look like I'm crucified on the flag. And he's like, that's not going to go down well in some places. How are you going to behave? And I'd rather get take a punch by an homophobic twat than not express this. Awareness needs to happen, because if I don't take a punch, other people are going to commit suicide because there's no awareness, because they don't feel like they're recognized and heard.
It's a noble pursuit. It's a very noble pursuit to do that. But I think it feels like it's intrinsically part of who you are. Like you have to express that. I mean, not
I did it on purpose, but come on,
Not least because of who you are, but more your personality in terms of because as you mentioned, and I've been lucky enough to know lots of people who come out as either gay, lesbian, transgender, whatever it might be, who are so much happier when they are themselves.
Yes,
and it's interesting to look at the way that they were before that. And some people you knew, some people you didn't. Some people there were hints, and you could put two and two together. But until they were able to come to terms with themselves, and then you suddenly see them just blossom, and you just go, oh, this is the person that you were supposed to be, always supposed to be. And I know it's not that easy. I'm speaking purely from a straight white male perspective.
Yeah.
But I do my best to try and understand.
You're an ally. The fact that you're having a conversation and giving a platform to a queer person who fights for the LGBTQ community is in itself being an ally.
Absolutely.
And that is what's important. The LGBTQ community is not asking you to be gay. The LGBTQ community is asking you to understand and raise awareness, for other people not to suffer with their mental health, because it's not accepted, you see.
That's the funniest thing I've always found about that. And I don't want to go down this street too much longer from that perspective. But
it is linked to mental health, so it is important.
No, I mean more that a lot of homophobia tends to be this idea that they'll need to be indoctrinated. And it's like, well, we don't want you.
No. Oh, please don't.
That's not the point. Please put it away.
No, we don't need you. No.
But it's very important, and it is part of this as well. And one of the things that's the most important to me is that there's this full representation, and so that's why I'm super stoked that you guys are on the bill. And it's not just a token throwaway, we'll get that in and get it done. It's actually it's part of it, and it's an important part of it. So I think it's important that we discuss a little bit about perhaps some of the motivations for your lyrics and the things that have happened in your life potentially that have led you to being in this industry.
You can see it on my face. It's like, hey, here we go.
Well, we'll only talk about anything that you're comfortable with.
Of course.
And I think the important thing as well to note is that, as we were talking about before we kind of started recording, I would say 99.9% of people, and I think you agree with this, don't necessarily listen to, play, or involved in a rock and a metal scene without having some kind of neurodivergence, or at least
or mental health issues.
Absolutely.
I'm a true believer of that. I've always said that, actually, which people always look a little bit shocked. They agree, most people agree, but I think that most people are a bit shocked by that. I am a true believer that you can't enjoy metal if you're neurotypical or if you have no mental health issues. It's that it's all about expressing how angry you are. It's all, or how depressed you are, depending on the music, or the lyrics. So so to me, I come very much from that angle. That I've always had my fair share of mental health issue. I touched on the subject earlier that I've been probably misdiagnosed my whole life with just depression and anxiety, which I do have, but this is due to my neurodivergence, my potential neurodivergence, right? And I need to growl in order to feel better. When we couldn't rehearse during lockdown, I felt very depressed, like a lot of people anyway, during that time, being stuck at home and not being able to make music with my band and everything. As soon as I got back to rehearsing, after 3 weeks of getting back to rehearsal, I felt better. I needed not just the music, the live music and playing together as a band, but I needed to growl. The growl comes from the belly. I mean, obviously you make the flaps in your throat vibrate from how hard you push the sound from your belly, from the air through from your belly. So it comes from such a deep inside kind of place that I'm a true believer as well that you can't be happy and growl properly. So I have to write lyrics about things that piss me off in order to growl better.
Yeah.
I need to let something out. So that's where we come from with that. And I think we're all in the band. I mean, for me, it comes from the growling and the lyrics is very cathartic, all that. But I think it's everyone in the band, like the drumming of my drummer is really brutal, and the way the guys play, like bass, guitar, they're really brutal in the way they play as well. Melodic, sensitive, yes, they do express a whole, a whole fan full of colors, but realistically, realistically. We all express ourselves through our music and how brutal we make it for a reason.
From an audience perspective then, or from sort of bands that you listen to and that you've sort of taken in over the years, what would you say would be some of the bands that sort of have given you either inspiration to write yourself and to express yourself that way, or just sort of really sort of piqued your interest?
Oof. That's too vague, man. Once again,
what's your favourite band?
What's your favourite band? Your top 3. I won't play that game. But I mean, not necessarily people who inspired me, but funny enough, I feel like there is one band out there that really represents exactly what I think the perfect music is Igor. So for anyone who hasn't heard about Igor, please do yourself a favor and go and listen to Igor with 3 R's at the end. They're absolutely fantastic, and that to me is the epitome of good music with all that mixed match of genre and emotions. Really interesting band, very interesting band. But yeah, you know, I've been inspired obviously by 60s, 70s music, as well as French chanson, as well as opera and classical from my mum as well. My mum is a big fan of that, but also as a young child, my brother was very much into the 90s rock and grunge and metal. Well, not metal, but like soft metal, like more like Metallica and stuff like that. It's, you know,
don't let Josh hear you say that Metallica is soft metal.
Yeah, it is, but it kind of is though. But I fucking love Metallica. I mean, like, you know, it's no judgment. It's just compared to what you can hear now and what I listen to now. It is quite gentle metal.
I'm teasing.
Yeah, but I really fucking love Metallica. I'm a big fan, actually. But yeah, you know, over the years, you know, and then at 13 I discovered Portishead. Oh, another revelation, you know. And it's just, you never stop learning, and I think you never stop, especially if you're innate musician, you never stop being inspired by bands you discover. And I think my neurodivergence plays a huge part in it, that I get obsessed as well. I get really obsessive over the bands that I discover and that I love. And so, you know, maybe as a late teenager, I discovered Mike Patton. So with Fantomas, surprisingly enough.
Okay.
Not with Faith No More, not with Mr. Bungle, but with Fantomas. And that was a huge inspiration, because I'm also a massive movie geek, and Fantomas did a whole album of covers of soundtracks, but in a Mike Patton way, and that was fantastic. From The Godfather to Rosemary's Baby, all covered by Mike Patton. Fucking great. So yeah, people like Mike Patton are huge. I always aimed at being the female Mike Patton, really, since I discovered him. You know,
steep hill to climb, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not saying I will be, but
I
will definitely try to aim at that. Yeah. I mean, that range, that really wide range, that madness. That's what I am for. I want the madness. I want the wide range. You know.
The interesting thing I always had, and this sort of relates back to Johnny. He loved Patton, he loved Faith No More, etc. And he always, as the dynamic in our friendship, where he was such a massive music fan. He had 3,000 CDs on his wall of every kind, but mostly rock and metal and things like that. He was an encyclopedia, a walking encyclopedia. Right?
Nice.
So he would always say, "Oh, listen to this band, you like this. I'll listen to this band." I am fucking terrible at anybody saying you should do this, even if it's for my benefit. It's like, you should listen to these guys. Anybody who knows me, that you'll meet and the show and everything, they'll tell you that I will never take anybody's it's just a thing I have.
But Johnny, Johnny could.
No, but even he. And what pisses me off, and this is the bit where I go like, it's a bit sort of kicking yourself a little bit, is that every time I go, fuck, he was right, and I get into Faith No More, and then I get into bands like Carnival and all these things that he sends to me, and I'm like, why did I not just listen to it then, and when we could have gone to the gig together, you know? But it's too late now. And I kicked myself about it, and I think I've run out of bands now. I think I've managed to get on board with every band that he'd suggested, but I mean, and as I say, Faith No More and Mike Patton were definitely up there, and Tomahawk as well.
Yeah, great.
And every other weird and wonderful Dillinger. I mean, obviously his stint in Dillinger was unreal.
Great.
There was a show that Dillinger played the entire album that they did with Mike Patton in New York about 4 or 5 years ago, which was a totally out of the blue thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as it was announced, I received about 4 or 5 messages, and I sent about 4 or 5 messages saying, "Fuck!"
Yeah.
And everyone just went, "Johnny, like, that would have been the one. That would have been the show." And he would have made it happen by hook or by crook.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the mutual love of Patton.
Yes.
We haven't got. Do you know what really pisses me off? Actually, we haven't got any Patton in our show.
Oh.
And I'm surprised by that. We have changed it around a lot. I thought we would have something in there. I thought we'd have, even if it was just, I'd say bog standard is not the word I'm looking for, but well-known face no more, like digging a grave, or oh god, epic or
epic, yeah.
Epic
has to be the one that's the classic,
That'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find a way of sneaking it in there.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got time. So, as I say, thanks very much for coming on the bill. I mean, what would you say today has been your sort of favourite show that you've done, or not necessarily because you felt like you musically were locked in or whatever, you felt good about it, but you felt like you really connected with an audience, or that the first time you sort of went, oh wow, this is really kind of happening, these people are really taking it on board. Is there a moment that you've had like that?
There's many moments. It's been absolutely incredible, because we're far from being famous, and we're far from doing big venues, but some of the feedbacks we get, we have people fangirling. We do have people fangirling, and that is a weird thing. It is a weird thing to experience. Obviously, as a front person, my ego is stroked quite nicely there, but but it weirds me out, but in a nice way. But yeah, I've had people saying, "Oh, I've only been moved once before by a front person." They were like, "Okay, I've been going to gigs my whole life of really famous people and not famous people, and I've never been moved. The only other time someone managed to move me was Sinead O'Connor live, and since then I've never been moved until I saw you live." And that was like fucking hell. Not that he compared me to Sinead, but that he went, "I've never been moved. The only 2 people who moved me live were Sinead and you." I was like, what the fuck? That is, the guy goes to shitloads of gigs. It's people saying that they're transfixed. They can't, they can't take their eyes off us, and it's really weird. Actually, you see the crowd very often. The crowd is almost still.
Yeah.
When they watch us live, people are almost still, and it's like we have quite violent, we have a fair amount of violent bits in our set, and people just do not fucking move. And that is another weird thing. It's almost like we somehow hypnotize them.
You paralyze them.
Yeah, it's quite, and but I've had, we've had amazing feedbacks, but I wouldn't say there's one particular one. But yeah, we've had some really, really nice compliments from like being compared to Nina Hagen as well. It's like fucking great. It's like, yes,
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, French Nina Hagen. I'll take it.
What inspires your stage get-up? It is quite unique. It's slightly different from what Josh and the boys wear.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, actually, that's funny. You mentioned that it's very different from what the boys wear. It's because a lot of people have mentioned it lately, actually, after shows, going, what the fuck, that guy is looking like he's gonna go and play tennis, and you can guess who I'm talking about. Yeah. And and then the bass player looks like just the typical metalhead,
typical bass player.
And then here I am with my LED wings and the gay flag and my RoboCop kind of sunglasses and an enormous oversized cop hat. And people are like, what the fuck is that about, It's like, but that is very representative of how diverse we are. I don't think I would like to change that. I don't, So No inspirations as such.
Please put Josh in some leather. That's all I'm asking.
I know. I've been trying to convince him slightly to just do the same, but in black. Just have the same outfit, but just black. That'd be fine. Just look like you're gonna go and play tennis, but you're goth.
Goth tennis.
Goth tennis. That's fine.
15 on love.
Yeah. Yeah, cradle of tennis. But yeah, anyway, so I don't know. There's no inspirations as such. It's just what I feel is pretty. You know, I love Wings. I mean, Wings is a typical thing. I mean, you see Rammstein has done it before. You know, the whole Wings thing. You have a lot of artists who have done the Wings thing before. It's not, it's no news. I mean, I guess there's probably a wink to... Have you ever seen the movie Hedwig and the Angry-Inch? It was early noughties rock musical about a transsexual. And it was fucking great. And so one of the first scenes is Hedwig opening up her wings. And the wings are basically a representation of the wall in Berlin. Because she comes from Berlin. And it just that image of the wings, I think, probably stuck with me due to Hedwig. Mm-hmm. There's probably a link there. So probably an indirect, unconscious link. But I just love Wings. So that's, red LED wings just made sense for me. But there's no reason why. There's no message there. It's just what looks pretty. What makes me feel as well more confident. So there's more and more women, more and more queer people in the metal community, but it's still mainly a male community.
Why do you think that is?
That's a very interesting question. I think it's just the fact that there's more and more female now shows that things are changing in the world, that it used to be a male thing because the violence in the music is probably more of a male attribute rather than a female. And now women or queer people can also show the anger. You don't have to be the nice housewife at home anymore and just you're there to pop kids and you're there to be nice and do the cleaning and be pretty. You can be angry too. And it's not that it didn't happen before. It happened many other generations. But yeah, I would say that there was something about the metal community that was very much male-led. So I need an outfit that makes me want to growl at an audience that is nearly almost male, and be in their face and keep their attention as well. So that to me is important, that I feel strong in my outfit as well. So there's maybe not an inspiration as such behind my outfit, but I need my outfit to make me feel strong so I can face that as well. Because, I started growling 20 years ago at least, at a time where I was constantly told, well, as a woman, you can't growl as well as a man,
I call bullshit.
I know, but yeah.
Have you heard of Tatiana? Hello.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, Angela Gossoff,
going back, yeah.
And that's the thing, I started around the same time as Angela Gossoff. I didn't know about her, funny enough, but I started around the same time. And, at that time, men in the metal community were like, women will never growl as well as men. And metal is not for women, and this and that and the other.
So gatekeeping.
A lot of gatekeeping about it, because also people were scared of the sensitivity of women going into the lyrics, going into that world. It's like, and even more so, and even still now, the queer people are not accepted in metal. Gay people are not accepted in a lot of places in metal for the same reason. It's like, accept gayness in metal. It's like, well, you see, history repeats itself in the most horrible way all the time. And that's the thing, is like, that's exactly why we need more people. Like, there's also in a world of growling women, at the moment in Brighton, there's another band called Crow God, and that girl can scream as well. She can fucking scream. And it's important. You are seeing more and more in the new generation, you know, girls who don't give a shit, they're going to go out there and growl. And it's important that it's finally happening. And it's important that we represent women and the gay community, not because we're woke and we want to send the same message as everybody else in the world right now. And it's because there is still a need for that message. Because if I go, you know, in the countryside in England to do a show, people are not going to understand what I'm on about. People are going to still judge, etc. You know, it's important that we have a voice in the world of metal. It's important for our mental health, goddammit. Again.
Well, I think you're a very strong voice in that. And like, as you rightly pointed out, like, it was a very important gig that when I saw you first, because it was so refreshing, it was so good to see that, and it was so different. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on the podcast, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show. And I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to all the people that are going there for one thing, seeing this, and then I don't know. I don't think they know what's fucking hit them. That's really one of the most important things of that show. I'm looking forward to. There are a couple of bands locally.
Yeah,
that I really enjoy at the moment. There's a band called Mission Creep. Have you heard of them?
Who?
Mission Creep.
No, I haven't actually.
I really want to put you guys together on a bill.
Nice.
But I don't want to do the whole tired thing of like, oh, let's get all the women together on a bill and do something. But do you know what I mean? Because it could always come back. I'm fucking gonna.
Oh yeah.
They describe themselves as sort of like alt, but with like soul.
Okay, nice.
So she's a fantastic vocalist.
Okay.
It's a young black woman who's just got the most amazing voice that sits on top of these very sort of they're kind of genty but not like Tesseract-y and there's still a little. I love Tesseract. I
know. What did you say?
but she just adds this fresh element to it. She doesn't growl, she doesn't scream. She pushes, but it's more about the lilt, and you can feel where that comes from. And what I love about it is that it's just this joining of two different worlds that probably ahead of time you'd have thought that doesn't really go, does it? You don't want that kind of drawl and wash back and forth with something that's supposed to be very on the beat, and it just works. It works. And so I saw them the other day at a Green Door store, and they were phenomenal. And I instantly thought, right, put those two together.
Nice.
Knife Bride as well. I saw them recently. They're
Still
good
haven't
fun.
seen them live, but I've heard a lot about them. I know that's another show to
Another
go
very
and see.
visual thing as well. They all sort of it's so funny because they were at Green Door as well. Shout out to Green Door. This is just all about Green Door.
Green Door is great. Green Door is great. It's like so many good bands have started there. And they truly give a chance for. I mean, the promoters who put things up there generally give a chance to new bands as well, which is great.
It's a great part of the scene, and it's also intrinsically Brighton because it's under the arches. It's like it's just there. It's just it wouldn't be there if it wasn't for this thing. But the thing that surprised me about them was they sold out on the day, which was great.
Nice.
But loads of their fans turned up dressed as gothic brides.
Nice.
Like in whether it was actual like wedding dresses or not, but they were dressed as knife brides.
Excellent.
And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And obviously the vocalist was dressed in a dress that was, I don't know if it was a wedding dress, but it was the same sort of thing, sort of floral and slightly what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a wedding dress. But yeah, and they were very, very good as well. So there's just it's just a good cultural melting pot down here. And like you say, it's only when you leave, sometimes you forget you might be in a wee bit of a bubble.
I don't forget that at all, because I come from somewhere that is absolutely not like that. I never forget it, and I'm very grateful for being here, because I grew up in a 300 inhabitants countryside village in France, So I can't forget how blessed I am to be in a place where women can walk hand in hand together, and then the over the top goth is gonna walk past an over the top rapper hip hop look, with the chains and everything, and you have all that melting pot of genre, and people just
And
mix.
folks don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't give a shit. You can wear absolutely whatever you want.
I love that.
Yeah, and
I love it
that
so much.
I love that. Yeah.
I used to think, actually, I had a complex with it. I used to have a love-hate relationship with Brighton because I loved how open it was. But then in my own head, I was like, yeah, but I feel like if I wear the wrong thing, then people are going to judge the fuck out of me and I'm going to be...
Yeah.
And then I grew up and I realised that people don't give a fuck.
Yes.
And I should
exactly
also
that.
not give a fuck. And it's just opened up this place to me. Anyway, this is not a love letter to Brighton.
It really is, actually. We've been banging on about it. It's also massively overpriced.
Oh, yeah, you pay to be here. Don't get it wrong.
Yeah. It has its downs as well.
It does. But, rough with the smooth.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you so much for coming on
That's all right.
to the podcast.
Pleasure.
I can't wait for you to surprise and engage people at the forum.
Yeah.
And I also hope that you get a return gig there. I think you guys need to put on some shows there after that set. And I think that's another good part of it as well, is that it sort of widens the appeal.
That's it. We want to expand a bit. We've played a lot in Brighton and we haven't had the chance yet to play anywhere else, and we really want to. So that will be actually our first gig outside of Brighton. Not the first gig. We did Bloodstock. We actually did Bloodstock.
Yes, I remember.
Our fifth gig was Bloodstock. It's like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, lucky motherfuckers.
Because it was down to you and Tribe of Ghosts, wasn't it? And
that's it. And we were the runner-up. So actually, but I'm seeing Tribe of Ghosts people are my mates. I'm actually seeing them tonight for a Halloween party.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Used to work with Ben, so...
Oh yeah, nice one.
Shout out to Ben, bassist Rule, thank you.
Yeah, Tribe of Ghosts are fucking amazing. They're doing very well now. They're gonna open for Earn all over England. They're doing a 2 weeks tour. Check them out if you don't know them already, obviously. So we were up against them, like we didn't stand a fucking chance. So the Metal to the Masses, we managed to get to the final. So our third gig was the hit. Yeah. The fourth gig was the final of Metal to the Masses, and we were up against fucking Girth. Yeah. Which is one of the best fucking band in Brighton as well. I fucking love Girth. Kind of very Mike Patton-y kind of vibe actually in their stuff. We were up against Girth. We were up against Tribe of Ghosts and that. It was a fantastic lineup. Dead Letter as well, I think, if I remember well.
That might have been the show, you know.
So that was a year and a half ago. And so that was our fourth show. And we didn't win. Yeah. Tribe of Ghosts won, of course.
Yeah. Molly said to me, how are you gonna vote for? Like, is there, if it came down to a vote, who would you choose? You know, your friends? Just spit on the table as well when you're at it. Your friend or your family, and I was like, don't do this to me.
I know, right? No, absolutely mad. But it was a cool lineup. But anyway, we ended up runner-up, and so we didn't play at the New Blood stage in Bloodstock, but we played on the Jägermeister stage and we opened it. We actually opened the Jägermeister stage. That was our fifth gig. So we did one gig outside of Brighton, and it was not a small fucking gig. It was a really nice gig.
Now. Tunbridge Wells Forum? No, mate, we've done that. It's Bloodstock.
But that's the thing. Nothing really happened after that. You know, people think, you go and play Bloodstock and then you're all sorted. You know, it's like, no, that's not how it happens. Not at all. And, you know, the reality of things as well nowadays, which obviously doesn't help with mental health either, is how social media is omnipresent, you know, and necessary, unfortunately, for a lot of things. And in order to get the word out there for your band, for yourself, it doesn't just require talent like it used to. It requires being really fucking good at social media. Which is difficult. And so anyway, we did Bloodstock. That was great. And, you know, we got a few more followers from this, and we got a few more followers every time we played a gig in Brighton. But ideally, we need to expand and get followers from everywhere in England and see where it leads us. But if anyone listens to the podcast and wants to give us a gig outside of Brighton, please do.
I hope they will, and I hope you. And I'm sure. Well, this will be the first of many shows that you do out of Brighton. Get yourself up to London, over to Hastings. Conquer the southeast and move out. So again, thank you
that's all right.
for joining.
That's all right,
you'll be opening the Small Woodstock stage at the Forum.
Yes.
That's one of 5 gigs that are happening across the night. And we're very much looking forward to you being part of the show.
Yeah, we can't wait. We absolutely can't wait. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I was going to say us, but the rest of the band is not here, sorry.
They're not as interesting.
Thank you.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I am all of them.
The amalgamation, I am Legion.
Cool. Thank you.
I had a really good time talking to Armandine. Actually, the two of us had only met once before, as I mentioned in the podcast, and when I reached out to her and also Josh about the idea of playing at Small Woodstock, they instantly said yes. And I can't think of a better band to be involved as part of our show. I'm so glad that we covered issues relating to gender, LGBTQ, the relationship with mental health. I think it's really important that those conversations happen, and I also think that it's great that bands are discussing that in their lyrics and their music, and that's definitely something that you will see as part of the show. So, this one's short and sweet, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you'll be intrigued enough to listen to their music, which you can find online, and also come down and see them on December 8th at the Forum with us at Small Woodstock. Some future interviews happening just this coming week. Well, actually just gone when this podcast is released. Time. We will be having our full rehearsal with the band for Small Woodstock. So we'll be having a little surprise interview with some members of that team who were all of Johnny's friends. But after that, there are some great interviews coming up with other people as well. So make sure you stay tuned. And yeah, hopefully this gets the conversation flowing with you and your friends about your mental health. As I say at the top of the podcast, we're not professionals. We really are just people that think that talking about things and sharing things is a great way to explore your own mental health and maybe even just make you feel better or make you feel more understood by your peers. Anyway, thanks for listening. Look out for the next podcast, and hopefully we'll see you on December 8th in Tunbridge Wells at one of the stages that we've got on across the evening. Thank you very much.